if the case happened today with all the sexual assault allegations with Diddy, with 120 people at least filing against Diddy, if this would have happened now, people would have paid closer attention. They'd have said, yeah, this could be true back then. No, you didn't hear about that.
I walk in redemption.
Hey everyone, welcome to another Sit Down with Michael Franzese. Hope everybody is doing well. All is very good, very blessed on this end. As always, I give all the praise, honor, glory, and thanksgiving to our God for that. Before I go into today's subject, which I'm going to react to Diddy, finally. I've been asked, for the last couple of weeks, Michael, what's your take on the Diddy case? I'll react to that. I also want to talk about the Menendez Brothers again. I did do a review of the Netflix show Monsters and gave some of my take on that because I spent time with both boys when I was in lockdown in the LA County Jail. But before I do that, I just want to thank everybody. We had about 206, I believe, people that joined our Bible study this past Wednesday. And it was great. Really, people got a lot out of it. And I certainly enjoyed, being the moderator, I would say, of it, or teaching the lesson. And we're going to do this on the first Wednesday and the last Wednesday of every month. Everybody is invited. It's free. If you want to be involved, go to michaelfranzese.com/Bible study. And we're really hoping that we can build this up to thousands of people because we think people need instruction. They need a biblical worldview on how to resolve some of the issues that we're having. And that's what this is all about. Doesn't matter what religion you are, what faith you are. I don't like the word religion. Anybody can join in on this because I think there is a good lesson. Listen, when people have a good foundation or a good source to give good advice that could be helpful to you in your daily struggles or issues that you might be having or questions you might be having, why not jump in? And I think most of the people that were on, if not all of them, will tell you that we had a great session, got great comments from it. So look for that. The next one will be the last Wednesday of October. But sign up and register now. We want your email. It's free again, but we want to know who's attending so we can follow up and stay in touch with you if you have questions, whatever. So please do that. Okay, Diddy, I got to jump on that because I've been trying to avoid it because so many people are commenting on it. Everybody's been commenting on it. And rightfully so. I understand. It's just a horrible situation, what's gone on there with Diddy. My first question is this. How the heck does something like this go on for 20 years with so many people that apparently were victims of abuse by this guy and by other people? Now, I want to be clear on this. I'm not going to mention the other people that haven't been mentioned yet because some people just might have been at his parties and didn't go beyond that because the way I think everybody understands now, it was a regular party for a while, and then at a certain time, it turned into something else. And I know I read one thing where Denzel Washington, when it started to turn into something else, he was there with his wife. He got very upset with Diddy, and he said, "You don't respect anyone," and he walked out and never returned. Denzel's got a lot of class. He's a person of faith, a great actor, but he's a good human being. And you can see that the way he conducts and carries himself. He's got great character. So I don't want to mention the other people, even that were there, because that may give an indication to some, well, they were involved in some of Diddy's nonsense. I don't know that to be a fact. Names are being thrown around. We understand that. A lot of high-profile people. But so far, those people haven't been implicated in anything. Not that I've seen, not publicly. So we'll see what happens. Diddy is now in lockdown. They say he's on a suicide watch, or he was at one point. I don't know if that's true or not. If it is, I would really be, focused in on that. Epstein was on suicide watch and then committed suicide. And I'll say it again. I don't believe he committed suicide. I understand where he was. I was there myself. Very, very difficult to commit suicide where he was in the cell that he was in with the people watching him and the cameras and everything else. So hopefully that's not going to happen with Diddy. Although we say he can implicate a lot of people, we'll see. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But I want to read an article and then react to it because what bothers me about some of this stuff? It goes on for 20 years. People had to know about it. People were talking about it. You don't keep things a secret like that. And if it was the level of abuse and the pedophilia and all the stuff that was going on, with young people and everybody in between and women, everyone, Why wasn't this brought out sooner? Why not? They should go after some of these people with the intensity that they went after organized crime, mafia, Cosa Nostra, myself and my former associates. They should go after that with that intensity. They should use the same intensity, the FBI and all these organized crime task force, to go after some of these gangs that are taking over, the gang from Venezuela that taking over, communities and taking over hotels and taking over, places in these communities that are horrifying people. You don't hear about that. And my theory is this, because we made headlines and we didn't shoot. We didn't fight back. You came to arrest us. We put our hands out there. You put the handcuffs on us and boom, we went to jail. We hired a lawyer and we fought. And sometimes we won and sometimes we lost. Not these other groups. They don't do that. And in the case of Diddy, how do you keep it a secret? Well, maybe there's high profile people that had connections at the top and were able to keep it a secret. Maybe some of those high profile people were involved in this. That's the only thing I can figure. But let me read this article, and I'll give you my perspective as we go through. This is a horrible article, I have to tell you. So many of you know I've been in the wine business now for just over 2 years, and I'm happy to report that we've been very successful. People are accepting our wine, not only all over the United States, but all over the world. We're getting, people that want to have our wine in various countries, very rewarding. And our wines are from Armenia, the ancient vineyards, first vineyards in the new civilization. We're introducing it into the United States, been very successful in that. We have a couple of different categories. Our Irani is our #1 seller, terrific, you're gonna love it. We also have a pomegranate wine that you won't find anywhere else. And now we've just introduced non-alcoholic wines, and people, it's off the charts. People are loving that. If you don't drink wine and you want to participate with everybody that does, ours tastes so good, people are really enjoying it. I recommend it. So if I were you, I would go right now to our website, franzesewine.com. It'll tell you where you can buy it. We're in 9 or 10 different states now, soon to blanket the entire country. We also have a map up there to show you what stores we're in at this point in time. And I know you're going to enjoy it. So thank you all for supporting us, those of you that are enjoying it. We always say it's a sip you can't refuse, and I guarantee if you try it, you're going to see that I'm right. If there's any truth, it was written just today, October 4th. Sean Diddy Combs' hotline gets staggering 12,000 calls in just 24 hours, a lawyer claims. Listen to this. An attorney planning to slap lawsuits against Sean Diddy Combs on behalf of 120 alleged sex abuse victims, 120, claims a hotline he set up to deal with additional cases was inundated with a staggering 12,000 calls in roughly 24 hours. 12,000 calls? Can there be that many victims of abuse? That sounds kind of impossible to me, but hey, let me read on. Texas-based lawyer Tony Busby publicized the hotline earlier this week when he revealed a fresh wave of accusers, including one who was just 9 years old at the time, were planning to sue the embattled music mogul for alleged sexual abuse and exploitation. 9 years old? Again, these are allegations at this point. You know how I am. I did it with the Tates. I do it with everybody. Innocent until proven guilty. But these are some pretty treacherous allegations that are coming against Diddy, and a lot of witnesses and victims coming forward. Since then, the hotline has exploded with calls from people leveling similar complaints against Combs, the lawyer told Law and Crime in a Wednesday interview. Quote, "From the press conference we had yesterday, we've had 12,000 calls in 24 hours, Busby said. So our Herculean task is to try to sift through every one of these calls and make sure that we're identifying those who are victims and those who are witnesses and collect evidence." So he's, according to him, really taking his time to go through all of these calls, make sure they're legit, they're not crank calls, they really have something to support the allegation that they might be making, and then he'll decide whether he's going to take this in a case or not. He's already representing 120 abusers that he claims he's gone through all of these, and there's evidence and facts to back them up. He added, "We have almost 100 people working on this task." The attorney said his team was trying to ensure that the claims made by any additional alleged victims, on top of the 120 cases they've already identified, are airtight before taking further action. The 120 that we announced yesterday, those are claims that we could file right now against Sean Combs. But we're trying to make sure that when we file the cases, we include every potentially liable party Busby told the outlet. I mean, already 120 people claiming abuse. This went on for 20 years and nobody recognized it. Not until we saw Diddy beat up or smack his girlfriend in the hotel room, his girlfriend for many years. When that became public, it was hidden for quite a while. But when it became public, that's what got the attention of the FBI. What is the FBI doing? I mean, there's so many things that we're hearing about them that they've been so laxed in so many areas. What are they doing? Do we need an overhauling of the FBI? Do we need an overhauling of some of these law enforcement groups? I would have to say yes, not only based on this case, but based on other things. You know, what's going on with this investigative body that's supposed to be the most elite in the world? They came against us in a very elite way. They attacked us in every which way very successfully, put a lot of guys in jail, used the RICO statute, extremely, potent against us. Why are they not doing it against these other groups? So many people seem to be getting away with stuff. If you're on the right side of the FBI, right side of the administration, you get a pass. I think there's going to be a lot of questions that need to be answered with Diddy. If there are people at the top that are the elitist, we call them, that have been able to keep this nonsense undercover, pedophilia, disgusting, absolutely disgusting. You know, we really need an investigative body to look into all of this because nobody should get away with this. The hotline revelation came after the lawyer told a press conference that the fresh wave of complaints by 120 accusers were allegedly split evenly by gender. Listen to this. They spanned 3 decades and involved 25 minors, including one kid who was just 9 years old at the time. So this sexual abuse, pedophilia, wasn't only against women, it was against males too. One as young as 9 years old. Let me tell you something, this industry, the music industry, look, I'm familiar with it. Back in the 70s and 80s, my dad was involved. Buddha Records, Casablanca Records, Spring Records. I used to go up there all the time. Never witnessed anything like this. Never. Never even heard of anything like this. This is, in the last 25 years or so that this industry has gone crazy, as far as I'm concerned. Now, somebody may say, no, Michael, that's not true. It went back even further than that. Well, I can't attest to that. But I can say whatever's going on now, back in my day, didn't see this. And we were pretty much involved. Busby claimed publicly that the alleged assaults will implicate many powerful people and reveal many dirty secrets. You think a lot of people are scared right now? A lot of people at the top were scared? You think they're trying to make deals right now? Trying to make sure their name doesn't come out? Trying to make sure they can cover everything? Worried if Diddy is going to become a cooperating witness and spill the beans on everybody to try to get a better deal for himself? Well, let me tell you something. That might be possible because if one of the alleged associates or people involved in this is of more interest to the FBI than Diddy is, he'll be able to buy himself some less time or some less headaches on this. Guaranteed. It's all about who they want the most. What name means the most to them? So people should be worried. Most of the new lawsuits are expected to be lodged in New York and Los Angeles within the next month, Busby said. So maybe we'll start to hear these names. We'll see. The claims are the latest in a surge of accusations leveled against the Bad Boy Records founder after he was arrested on a sex trafficking charges in New York late last month. The federal indictment unsealed last month detailed troubling allegations that Combs manipulated women and plied them with drugs in order to participate in freak-offs. That's what he called them. Violent sex sessions that were sometimes recorded against their will. I'm hearing there are tons of tape recordings. He videotaped everything on everybody. And that's how you try to protect yourself. Maybe that's how this was able to go on that long, because he had so much dirt. This is like J. Edgar Hoover. He used to get, wiretaps and information on all his people so that he could remain the director of FBI for 40 years or so? He was smart. Did he? Until it blows up. Combs, who is being held without bail in federal custody in Brooklyn, has pleaded not guilty to federal racketeering charges, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. His reps did not immediately respond to a request for comment by early Friday. Let me tell you something, people. This pedophilia, this is disgusting. And can I tell you something? You know, and I'm sorry, I am going to lump it together. I speak my mind. You agree or you disagree, it's up to you. But Pride Month, when you have these transsexual people dressing up in disgusting, wardrobe and coming into parades with young people there at the parades and they're displaying themselves. Pride in what? Pride in your sexual behavior? What is that to be proud of? That's something that's supposed to be personal in your own room. That's not supposed to be proud of your sexual nonsense and your sexual behavior. But this state of immorality, it's permeating, our society. And that's the bottom line. And people at the top who are saying this is okay. It's just adding to it all. It's adding to it all. And you know what? I'm sorry, people. You want to chase God out of our institutions? You want to chase God out of our public schools? Can't pray in public schools, but you can have pornographic literature in our public schools at the age of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can have it in our libraries, but don't put God in a library. That's bad. You're offending people when you do that. But we who disagree with that immorality have to sit back and take it. Or we're what? We're biased, we're homophobic, we're all this kind of stuff that they label us with. It's terrible. And pedophilia? Pedophilia? What do you think of teaching these young kids at 5, 6, 7, 8 years old if you're teaching them sex at that point in time? In a disgusting way, because it is disgusting. We've seen some of the literature that's there. That teachers are saying it's okay. Librarians are saying it's okay. It's horrible. And I'm telling you, I really hope and say this, that any one of these young people that were abused by a pedophile, I hope justice is served on all of this. I really mean it. And maybe we'll see some change in our communities, maybe some change in our society. We'll start to come to our senses and say, what the hell are we doing? And put these people in their place, because they should be. We'll see what happens with this. He's going to file this, he said, within the next 30 days. I'm assuming that these 120, victims at this point in time of abuse are going to name more people than Sean Combs. I mean, he himself, even though he was the one that arranged and organized and videotaped and caused people to do this, I'm sure there were other people that were accomplices of his. So I'm sure those names are going to be known. We'll see what happens. But here's my concern. People at the top, wealthy people, elitists, especially those in the Democratic Party, I'm sorry, just the way it is. Okay, they have their contacts, they have their friends, they have money. Are they going to try to buy people off? Are they going to try to buy, the Department of Justice off? Can they do it? Yeah, they can. Remember Hillary Clinton, okay? Smashed her devices, got rid of everything. Nothing ever happened to her because her name was Clinton, it wasn't Trump. So these things happen. And yeah, I'm getting political because you know why? That's the reality of it. Open your eyes, people. That's what's happening. You're on their hit list. You're on their side. You're okay. You're on their hit list. You're in trouble. That's how it goes. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to follow it. As this thing develops, I'll follow it. Everybody else that has a platform will be following it too. I have my perspective. They have theirs. But the bottom line, yes, he's innocent until proven guilty. No, I'm not putting any other names out there until we know there's a basis to put them out there, because we don't know. Some people might have just been at the party. Who knows? Okay, but others, I'm sure, are going to have some dirt on their hands. We'll see what happens, and I'll keep you up to date on it. And again, mainly because most of you have been asking me. I wasn't going to do anything because everybody else was, but hey, I may as well give you my 2 cents. Let's move on. The Menendez brothers. I did the thing on the Monsters, the Netflix series, got a great reaction from people. You really enjoyed it. I thought the series was great. And I told you that I spent, for those of you just tuning in, I spent 11 months with both Lyle and Eric Menendez when I was in solitary confinement in the LA County Jail. They tried to indict me on a case, whatever. I was there for 11 months. And I was with Eric and Lyle for about 2 months. And then Eric was moved out of that tier because there was allegedly a plan to escape between the two brothers. That's what we were told, which was nonsense. You had to be the second coming of Houdini to get out of that spot. Trust me, it could have never happened. I think they just wanted to separate the brothers because they wanted to, period. So I spent really 11 months with Lyle during that time. And there's new information on this. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole Monsters thing again, but there is new information on the case. They've filed an appeal. I want to read it to you and give you my perspective on it again, because I think I can give it from personal experience that I've had with both Lyle and Eric, and I'll tell you my take on it. Here's the title of the article. Again, this just came out today. Lyle and Eric Menendez get lifeline as the DA molds new evidence of sex abuse that may lead to resentencing over parents' grisly 1989 slave. The district attorney for Los Angeles, who I don't really care for, he lets all the criminals go free. That's his way. A Soros appointee or a Soros-backed district attorney. And crime is going crazy in LA. Come and look at it. I'm not just making it up. Go and see it. Thursday, that his office will review new evidence of alleged molestation in the case of the parent murdering Menendez brothers, potentially leading to their resentencing 3 decades after the horrific slaying. District Attorney George Gascon announced that new evidence of sexual abuse against the brothers will be reviewed more than 30 years after the notorious trial that captivated America. Quote, "We're not at this point ready to say we believe or do not believe that information," the DA said, "but we're here to tell you that we have a moral and ethical obligation to review what is being presented to us and make a determination." In 1989, Eric and Lyle Menendez blew their parents away with a pair of shotguns in their Tony Beverly Hills home as the couple watched a movie in the family room. And let me tell you something, Pete. They went to trial. Let me get the year straight. I think they went to trial first in 1993. I was there during that trial, and I saw the boys every day when they came back from the trial. And just to give you a little basis, the way that happened, Eric, who was the younger of the two, I think Lyle was 20, Eric was 18 at the time they committed the murders. And they did commit the murders. They admitted to it. And it was, so this is a known thing. He sat down with his therapist at the time, a fellow by the name of Oziel, Dr. Oziel, and he admitted to the murders. And he told Dr. Oziel that he was afraid that his parents were going to kill him and that his father and mother, I believe, sexually abused him from the time he was a little kid. And he also went on to tell him that, you know, it was oral sex that the father made both boys perform on him. I remember him telling me, I believe he told me, I'm pretty sure that at one point he would put something in his father's coffee. It might have been cinnamon or something so that the flavor of, you know, his semen when he was doing oral sex on him would taste differently. I mean, he got that explicit in some of the details that he was telling me. I remember that. And this was coming from Lyle also. So, and what happened is Dr. Oziel told his girlfriend that the boys, or that Eric admitted to the murder, and he didn't initially tell the authorities. But what happened, his girlfriend, he broke up with his girlfriend. His girlfriend got mad at him, and I think she told the authorities first, and then Oziel had to give over the information. He didn't do it initially, even though I believe he was obligated whenever there's a crime involved, and you explain that or you confess that to your therapist, he's obligated at that point to tell the authorities. But I don't think Oziel did until his girlfriend basically blew the whistle on him. But I will tell you this, I believe without a doubt, that these boys were abused. There's no question in my mind. I take that, you know, I believed it then and I believe it today, all of these years later. Now, they went to trial first, and during the first trial, I think that was in '93, that was when I was, you know, I was with them during that trial, there was a hung jury because they were allowed to talk about the sexual abuse from their father and mother. And there was a hung jury. The jury could not decide on a conviction or not. And then in the second trial, which I think occurred in 1995, the sexual abuse was not allowed to be brought in. And I was wondering, well, why not? That's important. If there was really abuse, this is important. It's a factor in why they killed the guy. Now, and the mother. Now, let me explain this. Of course, I'm not justifying the murder. I'm not saying, okay, it was okay, go murder the people. They could have done other things. They could have ran away. They could have went to the authorities. And it's scary stuff, don't get me wrong, because, hey, I go to the authorities, my father finds out, there's no basis for me to say anything. He's a powerful guy. He's in the music industry. A lot of people like him. Who knows? You know, they might have been afraid to go to the authorities. Could they have went to their relatives? I believe they did, to maybe one or two. But there again, I can understand fear of the mother and father, them not going that way. But they could have ran away, and I'm not justifying in any way the fact that they got shotguns and blew their mother and father away. I'm not saying that that's justified. They could have done something else. What I am saying is this. I don't believe the boy should have been convicted of first-degree murder. I think it was an absolute mistake from that judge to not allow evidence of the abuse to come in because it's a fact. They were abused. Even the family members said that they were abused. But in the second trial, wasn't allowed to come in. They both got convicted and they both got life in prison with no parole. Was that just? No, I don't believe so. I think at the very least, or the most they should have got was maybe manslaughter. Because if you listen to the degree of the abuse that they got, it was horrible. And of course, if you look at the series Monster, the mother and father appear to be monsters. I'm sorry. Now, again, is dramatic liberty taken in this? Yes, of course. But they appeared to be pretty bad. And in the series, and I think was part of their defense in the first trial, both boys were afraid that their mother and father were going to kill them if this information got out, the fact that they were being abused. And that's what caused them to go and kill them. I don't know if that's true or not. Let's make believe it's not true, but let's make believe what I know to be true, and that is that they were sexually abused from the time they were young boys. It was horrible, the level of abuse that they got. So they killed their parents. First-degree murder without parole? I don't think so. Manslaughter? Okay, because they could have done this in a different way. So what are they doing now? The prosecutor is going to decide whether they agree and say, you know what? If this would have happened today, because we have such a focus on pedophilia, on sexual abuse, we had the Me Too movement, we had all of this going on, a jury might have looked at this a little bit differently. And certainly, if this abuse was allowed to come into the case, into the second trial, they might have even got acquitted in today's day and age. Who knows? So the prosecutor, Gascon, is looking at it, thinking about the current day and how this is viewed today, because things do change. And the fact that that information wasn't allowed to come in. But here's the thing. Here's what happened, and this is very interesting. And this is the appeal that the boys filed just last year. The brothers filed a petition following revelations from the Peacock docuseries. There was a docuseries on Peacock streaming platform titled Menendez plus Menudo, Boys Betrayed. Now, you know who the Menudo, they were a boy band back in the 1990s, which includes allegations that their father sexually assaulted a former underage member of the 1980s boy band Menudo. And I think he was very explicit in revealing how he was sexually abused by the father, by Jose Menendez. Now, Jose Menendez, that's what he did. He was in the music business, and he was the manager of Menudo. And this young man finally just came out and said, yeah, he sexually abused me. And he was very explicit about how the sexual abuse happened. So now that leads credence to what Eric and Lyle has said, that he was an abuser. That wasn't revealed at their first trial. If it's being revealed now, and it is, and the prosecutor is saying, I'm going to give it a look, which, you know what? That's pretty good in itself, because most of the time, prosecutor just says, nope, I don't care, guilty, that's it. We don't care what new evidence you're bringing forward, no good, no good. But in this case, Gascon has said, no, I'm going to look at it. We have a moral obligation to look at it. And if this makes sense, then maybe we'll even go along with it. Now, if the prosecutor goes along with it, the chances, in my view, are about 99% that this conviction will either be overturned, the sentence will be commuted to time served. I don't think they're going to try him again. That would be ridiculous, in my view, 30 years later. But they're going to get a break and probably be able to come home from prison. So that's a good thing. I believe it. I don't think they should be in prison. I think they served their time. And under the conditions, I think they should be allowed to come home. They've done enough. Let me read a little bit more because I think this is interesting. Okay. The new evidence presented in the petition includes a letter written by Eric Menendez that his attorneys say corroborates the allegations that he was sexually abused by his father. Gascon said he believes that the topic of sexual assault would have been treated with more sensitivity if the case had happened today. And we know that. You know, if the case happened today, with all the sexual assault allegations, with Diddy, with 120 people at least filing against Diddy. If this would have happened now, people would have paid closer attention. They'd have said, yeah, this could be true. Back then, no, you didn't hear about that. Harvey Weinstein, way back when, you didn't hear about that. It was only within the last several years that you hear about Harvey Weinstein, the Me Too movement, all these, sexual allegations. It's just coming to light now. And you know what? It should be. If they're legitimate allegations against people that are sexually abusing another, they should be brought forward. This is disgusting, and these people should be held, and they should get stiff consequences for it, especially in the case of minors. And these were young kids at the time. It started when they were, I think 6 or 7 years old. So to wrap it up, they got an appeal filed. Gascon, the district attorney in LA, where the case was held, is looking at it. It seems like he's going to look at it favorably, and that's a good thing for the boys. And if that happens, maybe their sentence will get commuted, maybe it'll be thrown out, and maybe they'll be able to come home. And I want to say this, I absolutely think that they should. Again, I spent a lot of time with them. The boys did divulge to me that they were sexually abused. I think they would have told me a lot more because we got close, but Leslie Abramson was their lawyer, and I'm sure she told them, be careful who you talk to, because in prison there's a lot of snitches. Now, I wouldn't have snitched them off, and I had no reason to. I mean, I like them, but I think they would have told me a lot more, but they told me enough, and I've seen enough, and I've witnessed them, and I've watched their movements, that I believe they were absolutely sexually abused, and I think these boys should get some relief. So hopefully that'll happen. So, my friends, that's my reaction to both Diddy and to the Menendez boys, the current stuff that's going on with them, and we'll see what happens. I'll keep you up to date on both. When something breaks that's really newsworthy, it's really something we should talk about, and I can give my perspective, I will. So that's it for today, my friends. How do I always leave you? Same way. Be safe, be healthy. God bless each and every one of you. God bless your families. God bless your communities. God bless America. And let's pray that the right thing is done on November 5th. See you next time. Take care.